Start recording. All right.
Yes, I'll start to, first of all, thanks for coming. We're really happy to see many people. This class is about JavaScript. There are two teachers, me and Lisa. We will give a quick introduction of ourselves first, explain what we do, and then we dive in a little bit more in the language. And we will start super easy today, so don't get stressed. It's gonna be slow pace in the beginning, and then if we see that you are you have momentum, then we can accelerate a little bit. But we will start super easy. But this part, I would say that this first class is absolutely the most important ever, because what you're learning today, you will use every minute of your programming career from now on. So this is absolutely the fundamental that you need to understand at 150%, because it's every day. What you see today, it's every day. So you need to be super focused to learn those things very, very well. Myself, I'm Marco. I'm not Alisa, I'm Marco. And I'm actually a communication engineer, but I work as a software engineer in a startup located not too far from here, in a Krupbyen. I don't know if you know the area. This is like a co-worker place, and I work in a startup with other 12 people. And we build we have multiple projects. One project, the main one, the public one, is a site called bodigal.dk, and it's a search engine for homes, apartments, and it's used by people that want to buy or sell. And when they get information about apartments, they go there, they put their address, and they see a lot of data about apartment. For example, the noise pollution in that particular area, how much it costs, the value, if the price is going to increase in the future. So it's a lot of data. And then there's another project that I'm working on, which is a tool that is used from banks. And this tool uses the data that we harvest on this website, and we put it in a kind of a machine, and we use the data for shape financial products in banks. What does it mean? Like a concrete example is if a lot of people look for a certain apartment, a certain area, let's say Frederiksberg, then we know that the trend on that particular neighborhood, it's excellent. Then we communicate this to banks. We say, hey, probably the houses in this particular area are going to increase 2.3% the next year, for example. And we do those kind of things. I'm myself a front-end engineer, mainly, but in the last 1.5 years, 2 years, I'm working full stack. So I'm doing a lot of Node.js, a little bit of Python, and also a little bit of C and C++. All right, so that was me. I'm Italian, and I'm 32, almost this. I feel the pressure though. Okay, maybe you wanna give it a go.
And I'm Alicia. I'm from Mexico. I've been in Copenhagen for 2 years, a little over 2 years. I study computer science and I work as a software engineer at a company called Zendesk. It's like a ticketing service, so if you have an issue when you see like a form, send a ticket, we provide the platform so that people can see it. It's a support software. I do mostly front-end too, but it's good if you, I do Ruby also, when needed. I don't like it, but it's fine. And so let's get to it.
Yes. So there are 3 weeks, and I'm going to use the same slides for all the weeks. So you will see the slides changing over time. So as far as we progress, I'm going to update the slides. So this is the outline. So I'm going to add week 2 next time. I'm not going to have 3 different slides. I'm going to have only one, and then add stuff to that button. So in the end, you're going to have one link for everything. It will be one long, very long slide. And today I prepare only for the week 1, and, which is this one. And then you will see that in the middle of the next week, I'm going to prepare for the week 2. So you will see the same slides, and you will see some stuff changed. And I'm going to add links for the exercise and so on and so forth. So the slide is like the one, one place for everything. Contains slides, contains links for reading materials, links for exercise, and then of course you can Slack me and ask for stuff that is missing. Okay, I have a couple of questions to before we move on. Who did play a little bit with JavaScript? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so like 2, 3, no? You? Oh, never. Okay, so okay, you okay, just try. Just try. Even like 2 + 3 in somewhere in the console or Node or whatever. Okay, perfect. And all of you attended the HTML.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. So what is JavaScript? And this is the fancy definition. So bear with me, because we're going to disassemble every word in this definition. I'm not going to explain what it means, but this is the super fancy definition. So it's a lightweight interpreted JIT-compiled programming language with first-class functions. What is most well known as a scripting language for web pages, many non-browser environments also use it, such as Node, Apache PageDB, and Adobe Acrobat. Let's forget the gray part for a second. Let's focus on the first part. So, first of all, JavaScript, it's not a markup language, it's a programming language. So HTML is a markup language. The HTML is missing the logic part. If you think about in HTML, you don't have if loops and stuff, but HTML is for structured things. It will give semantic meanings to text, for example. So you have H1, that you know the H1 is a title, you know H2 is a subtitle, and H3 is even less, and then you have P, that's paragraph, A, it's anchor links. So it's a markup language. It means that helps you to structure mainly text. And during the years, yeah, of course, I supported images and videos and so on and so forth, but it is mainly for structured text, to give semantic meaning to text. So semantic meaning means that if I have a piece of text and I encapsulate it in a P tag, that's going to be a paragraph. And the browser knows that it's a paragraph, and the crawlers and everything, Google and everything knows that it's a paragraph. That's the semantic meaning of a text. So JavaScript is not a markup language; it's a programming language. It means that you can do things like logic. You can do the logic operations. You can have loops. You have variables. You can store things. You can delete things. You can manipulate data. And all those things were not available in HTML. And why do we need JavaScript in the first place? And why you are here learning JavaScript? Well, it makes in some sense, you could say to me, with HTML and CSS, I could go quite far. I could actually build a web page fully in HTML and CSS. So JavaScript seems to be a little bit redundant, but JavaScript is super essential to do very sophisticated and clever things in the browser. And JavaScript is the only language that runs in the browser. So if you want to do advanced stuff in the browser, JavaScript is the only gateway to do that. There are no other languages that the browser understands. The browser doesn't understand Python, doesn't understand Ruby, doesn't understand any of those languages. Understand HTML, understand CSS, understand JavaScript.
I think a very clear example is, let's say you want to build a web shop and you have 1,000 images that you want to display, are you gonna spend like a lot of time just putting in a bunch of images? No, right? There has to be a better way of doing it. And when you have a programming language on top of that, it's really easy to just build something that actually gets you, because in the end what you need is a web page, and there is like an easy way to do it is through JavaScript. Or let's say you want to have something like, if the user is logged in, show this, and if not, show this. They're both two pieces of HTML. How do you, where do you put this logic? And this is like a...
Yeah, exactly. That's a good example. So if you want to do clever things, basically, could be iterate through a set of images in the browser, or other stuff. There are many things that you do with JavaScript. That's the way to go. That's actually the only way to go. So that's why sometimes you consider it the language of the web, because at least part of the application is going to be in the browser, and therefore you need JavaScript. So that's also sometimes it's called the language of the web. That's because JavaScript is pretty essential to build web applications, websites, web applications. Okay, lightweight. They are referring to memory consumptions. So it's designed to be to use a very tiny bit of RAM. So it's not heavy. The environment, the engine that works on, it's very slim and very powerful. So there's an interpreter. That's why it's called an interpreter, because there's an interpreter inside the browser that will read this JavaScript and execute it. And that piece of code, which is embedded in the browsers, it doesn't use a lot of memory. It's super light. And this is perfect, because think about how many tabs you have open in Chrome. I usually have 20-25 tabs open, right? In 2-3 browsers. So it has to be lightweight. It's a very essential requirement to make this the engine that interpret the language very lightweight, and that's a very good thing, because it means that a browser in general and JavaScript can run everywhere, because it doesn't need a lot of requirements. It can run on small smartphones, on big laptops, and even bigger machines. So it can run kind of everywhere. Let's forget a little bit about this just-in-time compiling. It is something extremely technical, and we don't want to go there. We know it's programming languages, so it's no markup language. First-class functions means that in one line, we're going to discover this later on while we progress. But in one line, functions, they can behave like class. And you don't know what is a function, you don't know what is a class, but you're going to discover later on what I mean by that, because we're going to touch both points. It's considered like a scripting language. That's why it started. That's why it's scripting language. But it's used across like browser, like other environments like Node.js. Node.js. So, and for example, Node.js is something that we have a class on, and it's basically use JavaScript not in a browser environment, but in another environment for doing, for example, backend of web application or tools or many other things. Just to give you a super simple example, NASA developed some tools on Node.js for monitor the suits of the astronaut. So that's an example I was using. So even if we often relate JavaScript to the web, which is often very correct, it's not only for the web. It's also used in many other environments and many other applications. About the gray part, it's too much technical. I got it out, but I left there because it's like the entire definition. But in the second class and the third class, we're going to focus on gray part. So we're going to get this and focus on this and understand why it's a prototype multi-paradigm dynamic language. We will discover it on the book. Yeah, this is a little bit what I said before. Is the language of the web. The browsers understand JavaScript. It's efficient. It's easy to get started. And yeah, as I said, it's used for more than just web. It is super easy to get started, and I think that's a very good point of JavaScript, because you don't need to install anything to execute JavaScript, because you most likely already have installed your browser. But it's another and that's a very good point compared to other languages. I think about Java, for example. So Java and JavaScript has nothing to do with each other, first of all. And for example, Java or other languages, you need to install a lot of tools, or at least some tools, to make it run. And sometimes it's not convenient. The beautiful of JavaScript that we can now today, we are just open like a web page, and you have a full editor you can play instantaneously whatever you want without installing anything. Yeah, I want to. So the interpreted part, there are two interpreters. So one will be your browser, and then we can use that one, as I said. And another environment could be Node.js. Also, Node.js will understand JavaScript. And but in the beginning, we're going to use only the browser. But we can actually use either. Like in this class, you can use whatever. And later today, I think we can add them to set up Node as well. So you can see that the same piece of code can run both in the browser and Node. But for the time being, it's not really. This is like very optional. So we can leave it for later. Yeah. So if you so let's. I'll go to my laptop, and I would like that you play along with me. I want to show you a tool. So if you go on this web page. JSBin.com. You don't need this bit. Just JSBin.com. So if I do this, and you just open two panels. This could be JavaScript and console. You don't need to type this.
I'm gonna be walking around if you need any help. Just to see.
You don't need to yeah, JavaScript and console. You see, you have multiple panels here, right? You have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, console, output. We only need those two just to have much clutter around. Is everybody there? All right, perfect. And if you show something on top here, you can close there with an arrow more or less on the left top corner. You can do that.
I think by default you have the output tab selected, so just click on console so you make the same.
Perfect. Yeah, you are. As far as I can see, you are all set.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Okay, so this is where you write the code, the JavaScript, and this is where we will console log will output the results of our code. So now that you are on this page, I would like that we do one more thing together on this particular iteration. I don't know if you can see what I do, but if you go here, you can switch to ES6. What the hell is ES6, you are asking? Basically, ES6 is the latest iteration of JavaScript. So JavaScript is the original name. And for some weird reason, JavaScript is related. It's now considered not an obsolete term, but a term that refers to the old version of JavaScript. The new JavaScript is called ECMAScript, ES, and ES6 is the latest stable iteration. So and I will not use ECMAScript. I will use still JavaScript, but ES6 and JavaScript, for me at least, are basically the same things. JavaScript it's a subset of ES6, but from now on we will not make any difference because we're going to learn on the newer language, which is ES6, and I will still call it. You will still say, oh, you call it JavaScript, so we are talking about the previous one. No, I'll still call it JavaScript, but I'm talking about the new one. It's
So
just,
whenever you read, like, ES6 is the same that as JavaScript. You may think, I don't know that, I just know JavaScript.
no, we are actually working on ES6. And when you know ES6, you know JavaScript. Because JavaScript is it's a bit smaller than ES6. ES6 is basically JavaScript plus other stuff. So if you do the switch, just click here, and now you're there. Okay, perfect. So you can stay on the editor. You can stay on the just bin, and I'll use the slides instead. Yeah. Also, you could use this link actually. I forgot. Okay. So the first thing that a program should do or can do is store data. And you need some data for any kind of programs, right? There is absolutely like this part is absolutely essential. And we have in a JavaScript or ES6, we have a different way to store data. Those are like 3 examples. We have a bar, we have a const, and we have let. So you need to be careful about this. So the var version is the old way of store data. And var means it's just any variable. And it is still valid, it is still okay, but it's preferable to use the other two. And I'll explain why. Const, it's a constant. And let is basically a variable. The difference between those two is that const cannot change over time. So when you set const full 6, and then you later on in your code you do a full equal 10, you will try an error and say, hey, this is a constant, you want to change a constant. The constant should be constant.
You should try it.
So yeah, exactly. So now you're in the editor. Try to write this line of code. So you do const, whatever you want to call it, equal whatever. It could be a number, it could be anything. And then you try to change it later. You will throw an error. Or at least will throw something like, so if I do const q equal 10, and I do q equal 20. If I go here, attempting to override q, which is a constant, didn't like that, right? You say, hey, wait a second. You tell me that this is a constant, that is q10, but you want to change a constant to 20. Doesn't like that. So if I want to do this operation, I need to say to the browser that that variable can be changed. And then I can use let. So if I do let q 10, then later on in the code I can do q equal 20, and then the browser is fine. It doesn't complain. So basically there are two kind of variables, right? The one that never change, and others that can change. They not necessarily need to change, but they can change. If you know for sure that it's not going to change, it's better that you use const. But if you know that it's going to change, it's better that you use let. And if you absolutely don't want to care about this, you can use bar. Bar, you can do whatever you want to do. It's like it's up to you. So now let's to be a bit more pragmatic. If I write a code to find the area of a circle, for example, there is a constant there, right? This pi.
Yeah.
So obviously I will store that as a constant. So I will probably have const pi equal 31415, right? And save that in the code, because I know that pi is not going to change over time. And I can call pi in the code, right? So what I mean about this example, that remember what are you doing when you write code, and think about, so this is a piece of data that is not going to change.
Yeah.
So therefore I can use const. By doing this, you help the browser to understand a little bit better and do some optimization so your code runs even faster. Because your browser knows this is a constant, you can store in a certain way, and because it's a variable, you can store another way, right? We let this use every single day. So we will come back many times on variables.
And I think we should talk about that these are two steps, right? We already said it, but that in the first one, when you say let, var, or const, you're defining a variable. If you try to run just like q equals 20, the browser will tell you what is q. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
And so the first one, you're just letting the browser know, I have something that you should know what it is, and it's called q. So when I say q equals 20, the browser is aware of what is q and will update the value. Because if you just say q20, they will go in.
Yeah, I cannot do this. This is not nice. But you can do this. You can just define the variables and then change it later, or you can, or if you want to write those two those two things in one go, you can write it like this. Let q equal 20. So either you define it, then you set it, or you define it and set it in one line. It's up to you. There's no benefit in doing both. Basically, the second is a little bit quicker. Usually, if you know the value, you will define it and set the value right away. But there are variables. There are some cases where it's comfortable to start with an undefined value, so you know that variable is, for example, it's never been changed. But we're going to come back to those examples. But the idea is that if I do, so I want to introduce you your best friend. The best friend is called console.log, and this bit of code, it will output here. So whatever you put inside here, it will show up here. So now, if I do console.log q, and I do run here, I will say, I do run.
I think we should put it after the address and the value.
Yeah. So if I define the variable and I do key equal 20, I do console log q, I'll output 20, right? Now you can see that
I could comment this line out if I want to. So if I do double forward slash, slash, I can comment this line. So if I run again, Q is not defined. You see, it's like that code has never been written. Because there are the two slash in front, that's basically is a comment, and a comment is not executed by the browser. And in every language has this you know, give you the opportunity to comment things out. So you will see me console log and comment a lot during this course, because sometimes I want to keep the code in the file. So sometimes I just comment a file and I keep typing underneath, so you can like compare the different solutions. Therefore, console log and you know, be able to comment, it's important. And if you have many lines, you can also comment by doing this. So you can put stuff in there like that. Yeah, it's pretty much similar to CSS. So again, if I run this code again, error reference Q is not defined. But if I comment this code out and I say let Q equal 20, run 20, run 20. If I remove 20 and I just keep Q, this code is still valid, but it will say undefined. Means that the Q exists, but because it's not been defined and there's no value, it will say undefined. Do you understand this tiny difference? Yes. Q exists, but there's no value. So when I console log, it will say undefined because it has no value, but Q exists. It's very different by doing this. This is Q is not defined. It doesn't know what is Q. So this variable doesn't exist in the code anywhere. But if I do this, and Q is defined, but the value, this is printing the value of Q is undefined. So there is a big difference here. Okay, and of course I can set to a number, let's say 20, and I clear run 20, okay? I can also, in this case, since I'm not changing Q, I can also have const. If I have const, I can clear 20. It's perfectly fine. And I can use var. So I can show you that I can have var, and var is perfectly fine. So you can use either. Var is like the old way of doing it. So var is, I usually use var when I absolutely don't know what's going on in this code. And I don't know if it's going to be a constant, it's going to be changed. So, you know, for remind myself that I have no clue what this variable is going to do, I just keep var. And then in the next iteration of the code, when I go to refactoring, I understand what that variable does. Oh, this is a variable this is a value that is going to change. Then I put let. But I try to don't use var.
It's like the while frame.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
Yeah.
It's just whatever variable, there's no rules. You can change it, not change it, and the people are trying to move away from that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Questions? We're good. Yeah. Perfect.
So you have
Yeah.
to put console log.
Yeah. If you want to log it out in the console, you need to do console.log and then the name of the variable. So I had a variable called Q, but I did console.log Q.
So every time you have a variable, you
No,
have
no,
to
no,
write it again.
like if you want to show it here, so let's say I have two variables, right? I have var Q and let's use const T equal 12. Then I can do console. Then I can sum them up. Sum is Q plus T, Then I can have sum. Then if I run, it's 32. You see? So now I've declared. I'm moving a little bit forward now, but bear with me. So I have two. Actually, I have three constants. So q, t, and sum. And this is 20, 12, and sum is 20 plus 12, which is 32. And then I'm output the results, which is this one, the value of this variable, basically. So console.log sum is going to show the sum of those two, which is 32.
But what if you don't want to add them? What if you want both of them to show?
Then you have two console log.
Yeah, that's
So if you want to show both of them and the results, you can do something like that. You can copy and say Q, and then T, and then when you run this, it will run. Run it again. It will run 20, 12, and 32. So you can console log each variable if you want to, and console log is like a very simple debugging to see how your code is doing.
And another thing that you can put from there is that for constants, we can only put them in one statement.
No, you can. It's the same. Constant let they actually behave the same way. So you can also have const q. Yeah. Of course, if you have const q, then you do q equal 20. This is not optimal, right? Because you are changing q. So if you know it's a constant, it's going to it's not going to change. You can define it. You can initialize it when you define it. So you define q and then you put a value in there. So for example, in my circle example, I could call this pi and do 3.1415, and I know that pi is not going to change. So I can call 2 pi when I do the circle area, right? Area. So this would be area, right? But we're going to see this later on, right? Okay. Okay. So at this point we play with numbers, right? We used 20, 12, we sum them up a little bit, but obviously there are a large set of types. There are not only numbers. There are strings, and there are booleans. And
What?
booleans, true and false. A boolean, it's like a flag. A boolean value, it's a binary value. It's called binary value, and because binary comes from true, it can have two states, true or false. It's the simplest, basically. We're going to use all of them, so don't worry about it. We play with numbers. And numbers could be integer, floating point, so it means that the comma. So you can have like I did before with pi, I can do 3.14. They can be negative. And there are two special numbers, which is plus infinity and minus infinity. And those are the two largest numbers we can represent. But most of the time we don't use them. But we're going to use a lot of integer and floating numbers with the numbers with the comma. That's very common. Then there are strings. So strings can contain everything. Every char that you can represent in ASCII code will be in there. So it's perfectly valid to have a string that contains numbers, for example. You can have a phone number. So you have like plus 45, 42 could be a string. And then, as I said, with booleans, and booleans is a feature. Yes, it is so true.
and if Marcus is not a teacher, it would be false. And there are two values, true and false. So that's super simple. Let's play a little bit with this constant, with those pipes, and those are called primitive values. And primitive values, you can do some certain operation that you cannot do with non-primitive values. But we will see this later on.
What is non-primitive values?
Yes, non-primitive values are, for example, arrays and objects. And for example, if you have two primitive values, let's say you have Marcos age 31 and Elisa age 31. I don't know. If you can say they are equal, so you can actually check if they are equal, right? And if it's the same, it's about 31, then it will be true. If they're equal, it's going to be true. But with non-primitive, you cannot compare objects, or you cannot compare arrays. Even if the array looks pretty much the same, objects are pretty much the same, you cannot do an object is equal to another object. Two empty objects, for example, they're not equal, even if they look the same. But they are instances of a certain prototype, and therefore they have an identifier that is different. I don't want to confuse you, but I want that you think about there are some types, which is numbers, strings, and booleans that can be compared, which are called primitive values, and there are other kinds of types, which are objects and array, that cannot be compared, or they can be compared, but in a different way. We're going to see that as well. But I'll go back to my computer and show what I mean.
So the first thing that, if I go here, I can do this. So let's do let. So I have let t equal 12. And JavaScript allow me to do this. T equal So what's going on here?
There are two values for t.
So I have I defined a variable t and I set as a number, right? I said let's create t and let's put 12 in t. Then I'm displaying it. Then I put it on and I take the same variable and I set to a string. So the variable changed type. And I console log t, and then now it's a string, it's not a number. You see also the color is slightly different. This is kind of a very bluish green, and this is very green. So, basically, a variable in JavaScript can change type on the go.
Even if it's constant.
You can't change constant.
Yeah.
Never, even if the same type. But and this is powerful. It's very powerful, but it will fire back to you badly one day. What it means that since you don't know that this is a number, not like if this was a very, very long code, you see t and you don't know t if it's an integer, if it's a string, an object, it's an array, so you don't know how you can operate it.
This is different than most programming languages because when you declare a variable, you say this is t and this is a string. So if you try to do t equals a number,
It will turn error.
It will return error because I was expecting a string and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But JavaScript doesn't have that very specified, so it just thinks that variables is variables. Whatever you give me, I'll just store it. I don't know.
And for example, in C, when you declare a variable, you need to put the type in front. So I will do int t equal 10, and then the compiler knows, oh, this is an integer. Cool. Here it doesn't really know what it could be because you can change it later on anyway. So if this is a number now, cool, then you set it to a string, cool, then it's going to be a string, and then you can do whatever. It is very powerful because it's dynamic, means that it can change style on the go. It's very, give you a lot of freedom. But that freedom, sometimes, it is counterproductive. Too much freedom, is not always the best. So you need to be extra careful about this particular feature of JavaScript. Alrighty.
But how does it help to have more than one value for t or for whatever variable?
So one clear example that, for example, you can reuse variables. So if in a bit of your code you have a number, and then that, for example, the function executed and number you don't need anymore, you can recycle that variable and you set a string so that you can carry on. So that you don't need to create another value. But as I said, in very large application, you want to avoid to have those strings because it isn't nice. It's not nice that you don't know the type of a variable in a large application. In small examples, it's fine to do this, but while your code grows, you will understand that it's not really the best practice to do this. But it's still up to you. It's still possible, and this is perfectly valid. It's really in your hands. That's the freedom, right? You decide how you want to do it. But it usually me avoids to change type to variables, and I think we really need. Alright.
So let's have a look to booleans. So I can say t equal true, and then pretty much like before, can run this, and I have a number, a string, and a boolean.
And what is the value of t there?
3.
2. Yeah, right? Like the final value is true. It doesn't matter what happened. The value at the time we put the console log is the one that is defined.
Right, so if you clear it and run it again, only true with a clear?
No. We'll run every line. So we'll run this line, and then we'll run this line, and then you have this 12. Then I will run this line, and I change to Marco, and then I display it again, and then it will show Marco. Then I set it to true, and then I will display t again, and then it will be true. But from now on, t is going to be true. I'll run it again. So what she's saying that once is the last one is it's the one that stays. So if
even if you change values 100 times in the middle, you put a console log just at the end. That's the only value.
Yeah. Yes. So let's talk about the primitive. So you said, okay, what is a primitive? Okay, I can do this now. So let's say I have, let's create. So I can do name equal t.
I just want to say really quickly also that you can't declare the same variable twice. So if you say let t equals 12,
Oh, yeah.
and then you say let t equals 11, the browser will tell you that's
Yeah.
not
True. So for example, I cannot do this. This is not alright. It's not executing, you see. This is an error.
But we don't put console log.
Yeah, but
But have the same result.
this will basically be, it's not alright to do this. You need to declare it once. Good point, yeah. Okay, so let's play with so we said the numbers, strings and booleans are primitives. Let's play a little bit with primitives then. So we have a string. So I can do name equal another name. Yeah, I'm gonna draw that. Okay, so just for the sake, move that. So we have two strings, right? Two strings, two variables that contains two strings, the same string. Both they contain Marco, right? So I can compare them. This is called operator, compare operator. So this is saying, is this equal to this? We're going to see all different operators later on. I'm just introducing this one for the sake of primitives. So name equal another name. So is Marco equal Marco? True. So I'm expecting that this will console out true. You agree with me? Perfect. So what about I change name and I do this? So I run false. They are not the same. And with primitives you can do this operation. With primitives you can compare variables. You can say is this variable equal to this variable? And if I set this to a number, this is not going to be, this is false, obviously. With non-primitives, you cannot do this. If and for example, non-primitives is arrays. So if I have two arrays, we're going to see what is arrays. Even if they look the same, probably, yeah, this is still fine. But if I do objects, I think this is not going to be alright. Probably 3. Yeah. I need to explain the difference between 2 and 3 equals. So you can use two compare operators. You can use the 2 equals and the 3 equals. 2 equals, the one that I used before, it is a software check that is not going to check for the type. So when you check, it is somehow like a software check. It will try to transform them in one type, both of them, and compare them. When you do the 3 equal, it will not do the type transformation for you. It will keep the same type and will try to compare them. That's why with 2 equals, 2 objects are the same, but with 3 equals, they're not. And this is the difference between a primitive and non-primitive. This is one of the fundamental differences. Look at this. If I go with a string, you need to be careful because this is tricky. If I go with a string here, so Marco, and I run it, this is true. And if I go 2 equals, this is true. Now, if I go with an object here, that or an array, we didn't see objects in array yet, but this is an object. If I go with 2 equals, it would be true because there is in place a type transformation. But if I go with 3 equal, I'm saying please compare the value and the type, and then it will be false.
But isn't it the same value?
Yeah, this is the difference between primitives and non-primitives. Even if they are the same, with 3 equal, they're not the same, false. Because it's going to check the type, and in the object type, there is an identifier for each type, and that identifier is different. So you check it let's put it in a more simple words. With 3 equals, the check is restricted also to the type. Therefore, those two, even if they look very much the same, they're actually different. Because it's going to check for object differences. And there are object differences. It's the identifier.
What is it?
The difference is that inside that object there is a key called an identifier that is different. And it will not, you will say that those are two instances, that they look the same, but they are not the same. It's like you buy 2 cars that are exactly the same. They are the same, but they are actually 2 different cars. They look the same, so when you look at them, you look the same, but they are two different cars.
What happens if you compare a string that says 20 and a number that says 20?
Yeah, that's also a good point. Say I have 20 and 20. So if I go with 2, this is false. What if I go with 3?
What? But the type is different. One of them is a string and the other.
Yeah, but there is type transformation because of primitives. But there is a type transformation. What's basically happening here? This is a very good. This is a tricky example, though. Yeah, this is a tricky example. But think about this way: 3 equals, and those are primitives, though, right? So it's not. Don't get confused with the object example because objects are non-primitives. But when are primitives, there is type transformation. So this is alright. Those are the same because this is transformed to a number when you try to compare. But I don't want to go through the comparing things because it's something that we're gonna do later, and it's much more sophisticated. It's not necessary now. But the difference between primitives and non-primitives, that the primitives are easier to compare, and non-primitives are different. Are harder. But you can, if you go back to the object example, I want to show you this as last. You can, this is going to be true. Because it's, even if you do this, that's going to be true. Because it is equal to himself. But this is going to be false. Even if the value is the same, they're different. So that probably can give you a little bit more to think about it. It is a bit confusing. It is a bit confusing.
Wait, why is it false this time?
So if it's the same variable, if I say names equal name, then you are basically say, are you equal to yourself? Yes, true. But if it's another name, even if the value is the same, you see the value is exactly the same. This is false because the type when you type transform them, you don't type transform them, and then the identifier is different inside objects, and then they're not equal.
What? Sorry.
Basically, when you do 3 equals in non-primitives, which is object and array, you will, even if the value is the same, it's going to be false because there is inside this object something you cannot see, but inside it there is an identifier, like a string.
So there's an identifier for each object, and
which
they
is
are never equal.
They're never equal.
Okay.
Therefore, it will never be true because the triple equal, it will check for the identifier.
Now I get it.
Yes. Yeah, if you put, you say like 20 and 20, for example. whatever I put inside here, even if it's the same, it will copy and paste just to be super sure it's the same. They're not the same. They're not the same.
Let's say let's say that we make in different times.
It is pretty much the same to say there are two instances with the same value, but they are two different instances. Yeah, it's like two. You see two cars. Those two cars are exactly the same, but they are two different cars, right? They occupy two spaces.
I did cooking. Like the same unit.
Yeah, exactly. This is what happening. But watch out. This is only for non-primitive values, which is objects and array. Because if this was two strings, or two numbers, or two whatever, it will work. Those are the same.
If you put a space between whatever letter you want,
Here.
it won't
No.
be false.
Yeah. So if I do mar space co and marco, those are two different strings. They are not the same. Space is a valid ASCII chart. So yeah, those are not the same. Neither in a triple equal or double equal. They're not the same. Definitely different.
So we have 1 equal, which is assigning values.
Yeah.
2 equals, which is the stop check for primitives, and 3 equals it checks for type, or if it's a primitive, changes the type to variable.
Yeah. So remember this tricky one. This is very tricky actually. I almost forgot myself. So this one, when you run it, it says true, and when you run triple equal, yeah. And this is actually the correct behavior. That's what I'm expecting. So triple equal will check for the type, and the type is different, and it will return false.
And what does 1 equal work for?
1 equal is for assign, for save a value, right? We use it before.
Okay.
We use q equal 10.
Yeah.
It's for put a value in a variable, right? We use it here, right? Age equal 31. It's a assign for assign a value to value. Are you still with me, or you want to have a 2 minutes break, 1 minute break, 30 seconds break, or no break? 2 minutes break. 2 minutes break. 2 minutes break.
While you smoke the cigarettes, you think about primitives.
It's gonna take 1 minute.
What the hell Marco said there?
I think when we start applying it, we get it.
No, but I'm diving a little bit deeper to show you every. But when you code, you usually don't have all this information. So something more natural, right? Now I'm like scraping every tiny bit of the language. But when you actually start to write code, it's more relaxed. I'm too academic, I know, but because I'm doing because I know that you understand those basics, concept super well. That's why I'm slowly investing 1 hour in primitives, because you need to know this super well. But then when we code it,
Memorize it.
you need to know those things.
Yeah, it is, or to me, it's literally like learning a new language. Because you need to learn the rules of the language, and
Every single thing. Yeah. It's like in physics. You know how it works, but when you come to study it, it's a whole nother
you
world.
do not know it.
Yeah.
And I promise you, I agree it's true. Right. I cannot disagree. If it is can I disconnect from power supply?
You can disconnect now.
This one. Yeah, do that. Mm, body, the southeast.
I lived in Florence.
Okay. So you know a little bit of Italian. Right? Yeah.
That's not
That's not a no. And where are you from? Yeah, the Mexico City. Oh,
very close to.
oh, near the border.
Yes, 2 hours from Texas.
Okay. Okay. How things in Mexico? Still, I mean, I have friends there in Mexico. They don't complain at all. Yeah, it's Italian, English.
Really?
Yeah.
And they live in Mexico City?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really surprised
That's what I'm. That's what I'm saying. Like I have friends that are actually
Yes.
right there.
And I've heard.
But I think it depends where you go. Right?
Yeah, and the place. I guess Mexico City is nice. And my city is also nice. It's just very industrialized. But I mean, having the world to live, it's just wanting to go to Mexico City. How did you move to Mexico City?
Oh yeah, I moved there. No, I moved there because I studied here.
Ah, okay.
I studied at D2 in
Yeah.
Limburg. And it's 7 years ago now. Yeah. And now I'm a Danish girlfriend.
Yeah. That's always
Yeah, so then I found a job right after my master. I found a job and then I stick here.
That's good.
Yeah, let's do this.
So you like it?
Well, coming from South Italy, you understand the
food
way.
is terrible.
Yeah, food. Food is something that you can still, you can still cook and
Yeah.
do things.
I can because like the Mexican food, they're not.
No, I can't. No, I can't find them. It is. You have such spatial things that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but I mean,
You miss the
I'm
weather.
yeah, it's the way. I'm happy with food actually. I can have a lot of workarounds with
Yeah.
the restaurants and I can cook. But my gosh, the weather is like
Right.
it's completely killing
The
me.
darkness is drains.
It's yeah. It drains my energy out.
Yeah. It's super sad. Like when you're biking to work, it's dark, and when you get out of work, it's dark again. Like you don't see the sun.
How many years have you been here? Okay.
Just
Okay. No, yeah, well, I think the first year is completely insane. I'm getting used to now, or at least I know what is coming. So I can prepare, but like my simplest, stupidest advice is to travel.
yeah.
When it comes to
Yeah.
that, just
I'm going. I have my ticket to go to Mexico in January, so I'm escaping the
yeah,
cold.
exactly. Yeah, do that. How many weeks?
A month.
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do that. That would be my best advice, to just go away when the dark starts.
I wish I could go with. I wish, but I'm trapped.
Are you? Why? Is it your studies? You're studying or
I'm an asylum seeker. I'm not allowed to leave.
what are you, sorry?
Asylum seeker.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, so you cannot go anywhere.
I'm trapped.
Okay.
Miss darkness.
It's alright.
Where are you from?
Jordan.
Is it the weather is nice?
It's a desert, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in the winter, the cold is kind of like biting. It hurts, but it's short.
That sounds horrible.
It's short, and that's what's important. Here, it's long lasting, so it's worse.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, like it ties you.
And when there's no summer, like this year,
Yeah.
the summer
I
was
don't remember
terrible.
being warm ever.
Yeah, usually I say summer is a good day here in Denmark. Yeah, it's a nice day in Denmark. Summer. Did you have summer? Yeah, it was a very good day. I like it. Usually you have one day with 25 degrees and that's
The
it.
summer day.
I remember in Jordan sometimes it would get so hot, our teachers won't even teach us.
Like you wouldn't think
We would be just
school?
melting all over the tables. Nobody can study anything. But here, I've worn jackets in the summer.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
But don't you miss it? Like I used to think that the warmth like that, like 38 degrees, was disgusting, and now I crave it so much.
I do crave it very badly because although I like winter, I like snow, I like rain, but I want to feel warm.
Yeah.
I completely understand. Should I get the people back in?
Yeah. Also because we have another break at 2. Yeah. I was going. It's all right. Okay. But yeah, if you don't understand something, please just we can repeat forever. No worries.
That's good to hear. I ask a lot of questions that just keep on repeating.
Yeah, I think it has to be like that. I think because the question that you have most likely half of the class has the same question.
Yeah, it's just.
And I forget saying things because for me this is very normal. I use every day for the last 5 years, 8 hours per day. So something is obvious for me, but obviously it's not for you.
Exactly.
So I forget to say to you, and then it's nice that you come with questions because I will also update slides and put notes, and you will see, and give you links to read. So because sometimes I cannot like teach every corner or everything. I can teach you 60-70% of that topic. Then I give you a link, and it's okay if you want to dig more. Read those 3 pages.
And ask a lot because even if I feel like the question is stupid,
No, absolutely not.
it's probably just something that I should know.
No, absolutely not. And before because like today we're gonna program not much. Today we're gonna write very little code, but in the next class we're gonna write a lot of code. And it's nice that you have all those things clear before you start writing. You know, it's important. This class is absolutely essential for you.
So you won't have any holes.
Exactly, because then I would like to teach less and give you more exercise and follow you with exercise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the teaching would be shorter, and exercising in the lab would be longer. So you will hear me less and less in the next classes. So it's better that you grasp everything now. Okay, one more biscuit. Did you? What was smoking? What was happening? Alright. To a super fast recap of what happened. You said what is JavaScript. We said that JavaScript is used in the browser, in Node, and other softwares. It's the language of the web. We said what is we talked about variables. We talked about constant that doesn't change. The let that allow you to change the variables in the code. JavaScript doesn't check. You can change type of the variables, so it's a dynamic language. So it means that you can change the type of variable on the go. We show that earlier. We say
T is a number, then T is a string, T is a boolean, T is whatever. You can change type. And this is very uncommon. We talk about different kind of values. So we have primitive values, we have non-primitive values. We did some comparison between values with two or three pole operators. I'll talk a little bit more about non-primitive values because I usually quickly when we talk about primitive values. And there are two non-primitive values. And the object, which is this syntax. I'm gonna write it. This is an empty object, doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm gonna show you what the object is. What object is it's used for. And arrays. And if you experience. If you have some knowledge of programming in any language, you will find this is like super like arrays are everywhere in any language. But I'm gonna explain to you what is an object and what is an array. So I will switch to code. Should I make it bigger or you can see?
Maybe a bit bigger.
Bit bigger? All right. Okay. Let's refresh. So let's create an object. So let human and I want that when we create this object with you guys, then you should help me out. So a human has a name, human has an age, has a role.
You have to put this full stop. The dot.
The semicolon here.
No.
Oh yeah, the dot here, yeah, yeah, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you this why. And then human dot height equal. Okay. Centimeters. Let's say actually I'm still 31. Okay. Name. I can put country. Oops. All right. Oh, guys, if you want to save your just bin, you can. I've one and I delete it and start all the time because I don't want to save them. But you can go find a new and create a new one, and I will save the previous one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are going to do that in the end of the class. I'm going to show you how you can use Visual Studio so you can save in files. This is just a quick daily thing, so you can work with me super quick. But if you want to save it, sometimes you just click new and you get a new one, so you will you don't override. But I'm overriding all the time, so watch out.
And I can follow along. I can do it.
Okay, so I created. So what I did here, I need your help. I create a empty human. Sounds weird, but it's a human. A human has, I decided, has a name, country, age, role, and height. And I use some primitives values here. So I use primitives. So just a string and numbers for now. But I'm collecting all those primitives inside a non-primitive value, which is an object. So object, it's very good to aggregate data, to contain different kind of data in one structure. and you're gonna listen this word structure a lot. And when I think about structure, I think about model specific specific concepts, specific abstract things in code. So, for example, a list of items in your page, it's an array. I'm modeling a list of images as an array. So that's called structuring. So I think about a structure that model very close a list of links. That's an array. Or I model a person as an object that contains data. So you will see that there is a reference between real things in out there in your life, like a human, like a car, like everything, and you try to use object, array, strings, numbers to model that particular existing things. So, like in this case, I'm trying to modeling a human as structuring a human as an object. So I can console log the object, and the console log tell me that it's an object. And now this object has age 31, country Italy, height 176, name Marco, role teacher. And you can see now I have human. So I can change a part of the human. So if say country is not Italy anymore, but it's actually Denmark. So I can console log again, and I can run. And then you can see in the first human Marco was from Italy, but now this Marco is in Denmark now. So I can change one key. This is a key of an object. It's a property of an object. So the country, it's a property of an object. I could write this differently. Okay, I could write this in this way. So instead of do this, I'll try to. Oops. Try to comment this out. So instead of doing this, I could have done this. Yes, exactly. It's just two different ways to declare an object. Alrighty, and as you can see, it's pretty much the same as before. So I'm collecting, you see, I'm collecting a lot of variables in one structure, right? And those variables now are properties of an object. So age is a property, role is a property, height is a property, probably height you don't spell it like that.
Why do you write object?
Oh, this is just a console log saying that this is an object. Yeah.
So if you do put that on
No. This is just this console log that say that whatever we're displaying here is an object. Don't worry about that. Okay.
Why does the console put it like the alphabet, so it's like start on the A?
Oh, it's sorting. Yeah, doesn't matter.
We can't control it.
It doesn't really matter. There's no order of in the properties. So this one is this. If I move role here, the object doesn't change.
Yeah, I understand that, but if we wanted to change, if we wanted to order it like we put it in this side.
Oh no! You cannot. I mean, you could order keys if you want to, but it's not really. It's not a common thing to order the properties of an object, because you don't use the properties of an object for ordering things in general. You use it like an array, because array has a position, right?
For example, if you have a group of people like a database, like 100 people with the same information required,
Yeah.
how can you use that in there? So now, like, it's only checking Marco.
Not try. I heard that once. That's the advanced word. So try again.
For example, if you have a group of people, like 100 people, the same information, age, country, height, name,
Yeah.
and role.
Mm-hmm.
And then how can you put that into this place?
You have to put it with the 100 times or
Oh no.
Because if you do it, like, for example, if you control log a human, then it only comes for Marco.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to give it like automatically another check that, okay, this person, and then
Yes. Yeah, there are 2 points. First of all, we are here exactly this lesson. We are talking about purely JavaScript. So we are not talking JavaScript in web terms, or in application or in database. We don't know nothing still about database. We don't know nothing about the browser. We don't know nothing about anything at the moment. So we are just discovering the language. And this is important because you need to abstract a little bit and think about that you are learning the language only in any context. So it does the context now it's not set. I'm not talking about a web application specifically. Could be an example of web application, but I want them to focus on learning the language. How you create an object, how you declare it, how you modify it, how you delete. This is the most important things now. Obviously, in other modules, while you progress, it will be much more interesting to see JavaScript in a context. So, okay, I'm using JavaScript for building an application. Perfect. But JavaScript is going to be a super requirement. The language, know the language JavaScript is going to be, of course, a super essential requirement to build application. It's important that now you take advantage of this 3 weeks course to learn the language at its max, and without thinking too much about web or whatever. Just learn, the deep inside of the language. That's why I'm not talking about database.
Yeah.
But what was happening here that I can edit by this, so I can access a property with the documentation. This is called documentation. So I do object.property equal. But then I can read it as well. But I can console log just the property. So I can do this. So I can delete this. I can do country. So I can take a property, set a property, and I can delete a property. If I do delete human dot country, so here exists and is Italy. Can I delete this, guys? I think it's not very important now. So I create human. I display human.country, which is Italy. I delete that property with delete human country, and then I try to display that again, and it's undefined. Now it doesn't exist anymore. And now if I console log the entire object, you can actually see that the country is not there anymore. You see, it's missing. So I went even further than I wanted to go. But this is some small operation on objects. So I stretched a little bit. But now you can see how to create objects, how to get data from objects, how to edit objects, and how to delete properties from an object. We are coming back to this, so don't worry. Just was a quick intro. We had arrays, and arrays are non-primitives. So arrays could be
The first example is brackets, like the outside. Then in the second example, like global flags.
Are you talking about this?
Yeah. Then in the first one, the brackets outside the one to the outside and it's below.
Yeah, no, you can do both way, right? So I think you were talking about this. So you can either you create an object human like this, and then you create like an empty object, and then you create keys on the go, or you do everything in one shot by creating the object and fill it with properties. No, there's no difference. No, there's no difference. This is basically create an empty object and add keys, add properties.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I did what you just did right now, but then why did I get two results? Once with the country and once without the country.
Because you delete a human country right after first console log.
What?
You see, you have the delete human country.
Yes.
Yeah, you remove that property, but then you display that again, the human, and then then. Okay. So she's in this case. She's console log the entire object here. Then she delete a key, a property.
So I have to put this before the console log, or
I did it just for show you that you can just to verify that a property was deleted. So here. So country is here, but it's not here.
well,
And this console log is this one. Then I delete the property, and then I display it again.
so if I don't want the first one to show, I delete the first one.
Yeah, if I do this, then I will just have the one without country.
Okay.
More question on objects.
What do you think you could put in other than food? What would be a good example? Because sometimes it's a bit abstract, kind of like it's something that a human has, like a role, or what. Can you give an example of something else that you put it in object or makes sense?
Yeah.
Animal, yeah, exactly. You could have, what would be the properties of an animal object?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Age, lifespan.
Hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically anything with information.
Yeah, it is a structure for aggregate.
Like cars,
Information.
it's kind, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work on application that object is up, years, color, kilometers.
Yeah.
So I was modeling a car, which is it's a real object. In my virtual world was an object. I would model as an object. And my parking lot of cars was an array of objects. Now we're going to see array. But you would try to map and see, oh, I can model this real thing with those advanced type, with structures. Structures is when you start to use a lot of advanced type, like objects in array, one inside the other, and you can like model very complicated things. And together, of course, with primitives. So, for example, it's a cabriolet car with a Boolean value. Cabriolet true false. It's a dangerous car, cars that have more than 300 horsepower, true false. So I also had like Boolean values, and those objects were used for evaluate insurance. So that particular object was then input in the system, and then the insurance company will calculate how much it costs you to insurance that particular thing. And in the code was an object. Was an object like so. Okay, let's don't worry because we're going to dive deeper on objects later on. I'm just like touching points now, just to show what is an object. I'm going to show what is an array. Then I'm going to show what is a non-values, which is something that will probably bend your brain. And then we're good for a break. So arrays, it's a list. Think about. I was going to do this example, shopping list. So a shopping list. This is. I'll use an array of strings in this case. So I'll need to buy milk. I need to buy potato, and I need to buy cola. And some skewer. You know what is skewer? It's this yogurt, Danish. I love it. I love it. Alrighty. So I love it. Skewer. Every morning. So you see, shopping list is an array of strings, right? And the beauty array it is very useful when you want to represent a list. So this particular thing, and here there is an order. So was someone asking me about order? Yeah, there is an order. So this is going to be always first, and this is going to be always second and third. The order here matters. It's not like properties in object. The order here matters. So when I print this, it will consistently print in the order that I chose. So it won't be in alphabetical order, won't be in any order, it will be the order I chose, I wrote. Let's print it out. So remember, object is curly braces and array is square. So if I console log this, shopping list, run, milk, avocado, cola, eggs, skewer. Now, if I put avocado first, and I run again, it's going to be first. So it's the order I write. This is very important. You know, this is a crucial difference with properties in the object. So let's see super quick how we can access the first element of the array. So the array has, in this case, has 5 elements. We're going to just take the first one out. Shopping list. Yes. So the first object, the first item or element, the first item in the array, it's an index 0. So we start counting from 0. So this will be index 0,
index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4. But the length of this array is going to be 5. So if I do console log shopping list 0 and I clear run, it's allocated, right? If I do 1,
It's not.
perfect. All right.
And if you do 5, it's the whole thing.
Ah.
What?
Why? Because like this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no 5, isn't it?
But you just said the whole thing.
This the length of the array. The length is 5.
Okay.
So if I display the length of this, it would be 5. So if I'm asked how long it is this array, it's 5. But the last element, it's a 4. Sure, it's a 4.
I'm sorry, but how do I display them all?
You can just you know,
Yeah.
remove everything and display the entire things, and it will show the entire array. Pretty much like the object, right? So if the object you don't have any properties, you don't have like human.age, it's going to display the entire object. Yes.
Can you put the set instead of the bar?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah, you can call this bar, but I would like to update the object, for example, this particular example. So I said, okay, this is going to be let because most likely the shopping list is going to change later on in the code. Oh yeah, with bar you can change it, yeah. But since it's better to use let than bar, yeah. But you can use both. Now,
one more question.
Yeah.
In shopping list, do you always have to put an underscore when there are multiple words, or can you put?
No. I'm just
dash?
no. Okay. So
Or it doesn't matter.
we didn't talk about naming convention yet. So probably you will have your own naming convention. It's not super important for me. But the way I do is this. Variables, it's all small letters, and I divide with an underscore. So this would be shopping list. Functions are in camel case.
In what?
Yeah, camel case, but we will come to functions. But try to, and constant are all in big letters. So for example, constant, usually if I need to write software and I know that pi it's a constant, for example, I will do const pi equal 3.1415. And this is all caps, all big letters. Regular variables are small letters, and if I need to divide it, I will use the underscore.
Does it matter if you want to divide it and you just put space bar? Does it affect it? Or
No, you cannot do this.
Yeah, that's.
You cannot do that. You cannot do
There
this.
has to be some. Okay, why?
This is not a valid character for variables.
So what are the valid characters?
You can use anything except dash, space, has to be an underscore. And also you cannot start with numbers. You can have a numbers in between, but no numbers in the beginning. So this is not valid.
If you put a
It's just your ways that you use the concept.
Yeah, but watch out that variables cannot start with numbers. You cannot use dash anywhere. You can have numbers later, so you can have shopping list 3, but you cannot have 3 shopping lists. You cannot use dash like this. This is not okay. You can use underscore, and you can use any kind of letter A, B, big and small. You cannot use slash. The only in the special charts, the only very good one you can use is underscore.
So just stick by underscore.
Yeah, you will see that most, it is preference though, but usually variables are small letters and they use underscores. Functions, they use camel case, so the L will be big, in this case. But I've seen both ways. I don't think there's like a super specific rules. As far as you are consistent, so as far as you know, okay, cool, all the variables are gonna be snake case, snake is just underscore. Then you keep underscore in all the variables. So you can recognize later in the code that it's a variable. Just to be consistent. But and I use constant, I use all caps. So if I have a pi in my code, pi it's all big letters, and I know that it's a constant. That is fine. That is fine. It's actually fine. I'm not a Nazi on those things. I'm actually very relaxed. As far as you're consistent. If you have three constant and one is small and one is all caps and the other is it's a camel case, I will probably get in a fight with you. I'm kidding. No, but I will not like it. But it's not mandatory. No, nothing is mandatory. Probably because most of the people they use camel case, but it's not mandatory. You can have a function with a snake case or all big letters or small letters. It's up to you.
When you say camel case, you mean capital case? Or
No, camel case. It's a way to say that this letter is gonna be big.
like only this? Okay.
Not the first one, but the one in between. So the way to distinguish words would be the first letter big is another word. So in this case would be shopping list with L big. But I don't want that you focus so much on this because it's not. I don't think it's the takeaway of this course.
But you just want to be sure because
Yeah.
sometimes you're working on it and you put it back and
Yeah.
like, why did it work?
Like would be weird if you called pi big caps all this and then you call another constant my length. I will not like this. I will not. Either you call both small or even better for me like this. So you know that all the constants are all caps. So this is what I care. But if you go camel case or small, I don't care. But as far as the same style for constant, the same style for variables, same style for functions. Camel case, for example, are used for functions or methods or classes. So I know that if a snake, it's a let. If it's big cap, all big letters, it's a constant. And if it's a camel case, it's a function or method. But we will come to that. It's obviously a good point, and I'm actually overwhelmed that we thought about it. Because even pro coders they don't care. So it's nice that you have this fine touch to want to know how to do that. Alrighty, let's remove those that we don't need it. We have 10 minutes. So I'll show you just how to add in the end of the list, how to add an element to an array. Because we saw that we can add properties to an object, we can delete, we can modify, and blah, 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 right? Let's start to, we would like to do the same things with array, obviously. And we can start to say how we can edit an element, right? So if I do shopping list 1 equal apple. Change it. So the way you edit is to take that element, so array index of the element in this syntax, and then equal to something, and you will override that value. You will write over. Does it make sense? Perfect. So how do you add something to the array? I would be very, very, very tempted to do this. Yeah, I would be very tempted to. I promise you. Sometimes I wish I could, but it won't work. This
Gotta
won't.
be complicated to do JavaScript.
So I can. Oh, sorry. Oh, actually, yeah, no, I cannot, right? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay, that's actually all right. That's actually all right. It's working. That's nice. But the way I will do it, to always add to the, I'm actually surprised that this works. And I don't use that much then. But if you do this, push, then you are sure that it's gonna be in the end of the array. Because you don't know how long is the array sometimes. So you want to be sure that it's in the end of the array, and then you use push. So if you do shopping list dot push, and then the element you want to push, and then you display, it will be apple here.
But I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This might sound stupid, but then if you want to change something, why don't you just go ahead into the brackets and change it?
Because maybe you want to change later in the code. Here you define
it's
it.
It's gonna be too long to.
Yeah, you define it here, right? But then some point later in the code you want to add an element to the shopping list, right? How you do it? You push a new element to the shopping list. In
But
this
what
case,
I mean, why don't I just write a comma after school
yeah, you could do
and
that.
then just write after?
Yeah,
Why
but
the whole property?
Maybe you don't know what it is. So maybe you have that shopping list and you know that something's going to be added, but you don't know what.
So you just add
So
it.
you need to go to push it later.
yeah, with push you are super sure that it's gonna be the last element of the array. If you go for an index like I did before, then you don't know, because this could also been could also been long 6, and then you will override it, right? So banana won't be there, and then apple will override bananas. So instead, if I do push here, and I will do run, I see, you see bananas is still there, and apple is after banana. So push is always add to the last. That you don't need to care how long is the array. It doesn't really matter. Just call push, and then it will figure it out automatically. So I want to talk about this. Push is a, oh my gosh, I work out a lot. I do CrossFit, and I've got stiff neck. And okay, push is push is a method. A method is a particular function that runs on a certain type of certain types. In this case, arrays. So arrays only have this particular function method, we call it method, for push.
So it doesn't work for objects or.
So if this was an object and you try to do a human dot push apple, won't work. You would say that this method doesn't exist in that particular object. Yes.
What if you want to add more than one element? Like
Good point. You can. Obviously, you can keep pushing. So you can have this will. Sorry. Probably you need to do this shopping list. So you can push one more. So and this is perfectly valid. So you can push Apple, push Mango, and I don't know if will allow you to push an array. I actually don't remember. So I'm thinking about if I can do this. No, because will be an array. We'll push an array, right? But you can do this instead. And then you need to do that. So, yeah, yes. So with concat, you can do multiple push. This is kind of similar to push, and you can have multiple items. So this is what is this? Like push, what is this? Is that a method?
A method.
It's another method that is specific on array type. So now we already know two methods. We know push for push a single element to an array, and we do concat for concat other piece of arrays. And a concat allows you to do multiple arguments, or you can also concat another array. So if you have two arrays, you can concat them together. So I could write this as well. So I could have like another array, and this will be okay. The same results, and of course I could store this. And then, oops. Just fun. So I could just save the things I forgot in another array, and then say my shopping list is my shopping list plus basically concatenating the things I forgot. I then display the shopping list. I wonder you notice something. There's a super big difference between push and concat. Is anyone notice it? And for a split second, I did a mistake. So then, obviously, I remember right after, and I fixed it. So probably you didn't see, but I think at least I noticed. No, you didn't. Okay, I did a massive mistake for a split second. Obviously, I recognized it immediately and I fixed it. So
Where is the equal sign?
yes, I forgot this bit. So I thought concat was like push. And push will change the array that you work on. So if I do shopping list of push, it will change the shopping list. Therefore, I don't need this. Concat will return a new array.
So now
You know what I mean? So if I do this, if I remove this, and I clear it and run, there's no apple and mango in the end. Because it didn't change. It didn't change. Didn't mutate. But what this method is returning is the new array, which is this array, which is my shopping list, together with this array. So that's why I had to override my shopping list by adding this bit. With push, I didn't need to. Remember, with push, I just had to do I had just to do
List dot push.
push, and then I do apple, and apple will be in the end. So you see, I don't need the equal or anything. This is a big difference. It's two different behaviors. Methods that they will mutate the array that I'm working on, and methods that they will not mutate the object and will return a new one. So push will mutate, concat won't, and will return a new one.
Can you shorten this push things like
Yes, and this is okay.
It will appear as an array.
Yes, exactly. Very good. It would push an array in array. So now you have a bit. You have one element. It's not just a string, but it's an array of strings. So you are going. It's different, the results basically. And here is where you can start to think that combining arrays objects together, you can model something very complicated. For example, if you study matrix in algebra, a matrix can be modeled by an array of arrays. You agree with me? So like a matrix, right? A 3x3 matrix could be an array of 3, which element it's another array of 3. If you think about it, right? Because it is a matrix is basically 3 arrays of in each element there are 3 arrays. We will play with this later because I think it's like super fun. So if when I push another array, this is completely different to this. This is different. Those two they don't produce the same results because push will push an array in a position, and shopping and concat will concatenate the array. So you don't have arrays and arrays. You just have strings. If you do this, now I don't wanna make things very complicated. But if you do this, if you have an array, this bit of array in this array for access Mongo, you need to go in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in 6th position, you need to go array 0, 1. That's Mongo. And it's not this. No, it's not. This will be undefined. Doesn't exist. So that's the difference. It's tricky, huh? I know. Okay, let's have lunch. We will continue to play with array objects and also like together, because now we can, instead of have strings in array, we can have objects, for example. And we will progress towards more complex structures.
I think you should push 5.6 orange so that it comes afterwards.
You
I have done it like this here.
You want to have a demo?
I have see on shopping list. This one is 5. And then put it orange, so then it comes automatically after the still orange.
Yeah.
Then I didn't put push.
Okay, but if you didn't know this, and you want to have orange as last, how would you do that? Push will ensure you that it's going to be lost. Refine is nice because you can edit. Let's say you want to change the third one. You want to say, okay, I've changed the third one.
So you push it there to put there.
Push will automatically push in the as last.
You kind of want to really then يعني كده exceed
Yeah, you can do shopping list of 9.
this are
You want to see that? Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. That means if statements, the main conditional groups and I'm moving slow. But if I see that if you okay, I will go quicker and quicker.
Are you using
I'm using context, right?
HTML
HTML, no. And I don't carry around because on my app, the app is HTML.
Yeah, I thought there was some. Or I was asking Christopher.
Christopher?